And so I'm beginning to understand. I'm circling around, and one of the concepts that I'm coming back to again is ownership and membership. And so it sounds like to me, so maybe a bit of clarification, sounds like to me that membership is about that common humanity.
Mm-hmm.
It's about the inclusion in a conversation about our common humanity in the civic. And ownership is the schism in which we escape from the understanding or the reality or the space of the social, and we retreat into this concept that we can have a life outside of and apart from others.
Yeah, I think that's the way ownership functions a lot, particularly in the Anglo-American tradition. Because, I mean, going back to John Locke, right, human freedom is based on owning yourself and owning your things, right? Really fundamental. That's not true, say, on the continent in Europe. So Immanuel Kant said human freedom is based on moral dignity. Or Rousseau said it's the will. Even Aristotle said human dignity is based on choices, that we're moral agents. But you have this particular Anglo-American tradition that says human dignity, human freedom is based on owning, on ownership. So it's called absolute ownership. Well, it's mistaken, right? We own things because we have title to them, right? So ownership is really a legal category. It's a bundle of rights. It's social contract. And so what I propose is a different view of ownership, that ownership is based on civic relations, not property relations. So, for example, we own this house, right? I'm not against people owning homes. I think that, actually in my book I talk about the home as a dwelling, and I say it has 4 different aspects to it. First of all, it's a home, and in a home people have certain rights. The right to privacy, the right to security. You don't have to own anything to exercise those rights for those rights to be protected. Whether you rent or wherever, everyone has those rights of having a home. Well, then a dwelling's also a house. It's a building, right? And that means it's part of the natural environment. It's made out of wood or something. It takes heat or energy. I mean, it's part of the biosphere, right? So it belongs to that environment, and is part of an urban environment, right? So there's building codes and things like that. So there's 2 aspects of it being a building. And then it's real estate. So you could have an individual owning it. In some communities, I mean, home ownership is seems very important in the United States. Some European countries, 80% of the people rent, right? And they have all these rights, except they don't see where they live as real estate, right? But in the United States we do. So you have different cultural traditions, and it may be in some places you say, well, we as citizens would decide that it's okay to let people own homes. Or we could have cooperative homes or something else, right? So we could have various ways of doing that, but those are civic decisions. So that means, in fact, that ownership is really based on kind of pragmatic civic reasons of how to promote justice and sustainability. Because those are kind of the 2 things we would want in a housing system, right? We would want everyone to have a good house, a good home, and we would want that whole system to be fair to everyone and to be sustainable. So I'm not against ownership. I just think that it's something that we as citizens should decide what should be owned and what should be part of the commons, or held in a public trust, or some other way in which we want to be good stewards of land and other assets.